Welcome to another edition of Racing World. Well, we kind of felt it was going to happen. I waited an extra day just in case to publish this podcast, and sure enough, the House of Cards have started to, shall we say, shuffle themselves around. So announced this morning, New Zealand time, Wednesday, Tuesday in the US, Will Power, after 17 years, departs Team Penske. In this joint statement that you can see here, it kind of implies that Will made the decision himself to leave the team after such a long period with them. This has been a long time coming. It's sort of dragged across the whole season. Penske almost also saying that Will chose to leave. I still have some doubts on that, but at the end of the day, that's what they've said, so that's what we go with. But Will Power leaves Team Penske after 17 years. Now, where will he go? No one knows. But I'm going to put a little Andretti Global by that just for now. Anyway, the rest of the House of Cards that happens as a result of that. What we do know is that Rinus VeeKay, surprise, surprise, today announced that his management team, he is not returning to Dale Coyne Racing in 2026. And almost certainly looks like he's bound for AJ Foyt Racing. So who leaves AJ Foyt Racing? Has to be Malukas. Malukas has to go to Penske, even though in that statement, Penske have said that they won't announce a driver until the early part of next year. But you have to assume that that's how it's going to play itself out. That now leaves open seats at Dale Coyne Racing, and a name that's just come out of the woodwork in the last week and a half, and there's been a lot of social media, courtesy of himself on it, is Romain Grosjean, returning to the team that actually brought him into IndyCar. Coyne notable for people like Sato and stuff in the past, and Alex Palou, and maybe Grosjean comes back into the equation. I'm not saying that that's a definite, far from it, but Grosjean has publicly said on his social media posts that he would like to come back to IndyCar and he'd like to be back at Dale Coyne. Well, guess what? The opportunity's there for him now. So we will see. But what we do now, finally, after such a long period of time, Will Power departs Team Penske. There's been a number of things that I've alluded to across the last probably 2 months, really, that have shown that things weren't good at Penske. The Portland event where Roger wasn't at the podium after the race when Will took that win out, and then you saw the contrast of that. And sure, it was the final event of the season and Roger had other duties to do as well. But he was there when Josef Newgarden won the race at Nashville in the weekend. So we were seeing some fraction between those players. Maybe I'm reading into that, but that's kind of my take on it. Big thing for Will Power, when you leave a team that you've been at for that long, there's going to be a lot of emotion riding high, and then you're going to have to blend into a new team. So let's just assume he does go to Andretti. It means that Colton Herta then has to go to F2, or they run 4 cars. So let's assume Herta's on his way to F2. Now, the big thing for Herta there is he has to finish in the top 6 of the F2 championship next year to gain enough super license points to be able to get into F1. And do some FP1 tests as well, some FP1 sessions. So there's high stakes there. And with F2, you've got to be with a really good team to make it all work. I'm sure the management plan, if that comes to fruition, has that under control. But, if Herta was smart right now, he'd certainly be talking to Armstrong, Eilert, Schwartzman, Hager from the Andretti squad himself, who took out the Indy Next Championship, all former F2 people. They know a lot about it. They'd be great people to be signing up to right now. So we'll see how that plays out. I think that Herta is bound to F2, and that will open up the door for Will to come over to Andretti. And it'll also make him Honda powered, which he hasn't been before. He's always been Chevy with Team Penske. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot more things to come out. There's an Andretti scheduled test on the oval at Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the end of October. So something's up there before the track gets closed for the winter months. So maybe you'll see Will Power in a car there. Just saying, he's a free agent now, so anything's possible. There's also a scheduled test at Phoenix for IndyCar before the end of October as well. Now, this leads to the next bit. There is no calendar out yet for IndyCar for 2026. But now the rumour circulates the fact that there's a double header, NASCAR and IndyCar on the same program at Phoenix. And now, surprise, surprise, we have a Phoenix test. So you've got to assume that that's happening. A little bit more on the calendar afterwards because there's a little bit of a leak about Mexico as well. So there are a lot of things that we're going to cover in the next few weeks as these things unfold. But first of all, or for now anyway, we'll turn our attentions to the weekend and the final race at Nashville for the season. Fantastic facility. Was lucky enough to be there last year. The big difference with the Nashville Oval is it's an all concrete surface, and that makes quite a lot of difference to the high line and the low line and the grip levels and the way the car handles. And the other notorious thing, a bump that's been ground many times coming out of turn 4 as they enter the sort of horseshoe part of the track. So I had no better opportunity than to ask Pato O Ward, who took out the pole position, about that track surface and the bump. Congratulations on the pole, Pato. Well done.
Thanks.
I'm just wondering, because this track is quite unique in many ways over every other track we go to in the concrete surface, is there an added variable in that because of that type of surface? Are you noticing that as a driver, as a car setup thing?
Uh, I mean, it obviously has some sort of play into tire deg. This is the roughest surface that we go to. Um, and, I think last year explained to how, your race can be looking one way, but it could really change courses quite quickly if you don't react and basically, change lanes to the right one within, a couple of seconds of maybe an incident or something like that. So I expect tomorrow to also be somewhat similar in the way that, people are going to be on their toes and, making decisions on the fly. Some people are going to get it right. Some people are not. But we hope to be on the right end of that. And we just want to run our race and see what we can do.
And then just quickly, has there been any variation from last year to this year in terms of how you go over the bump? Has it
The
got
bump.
worse? Has it changed at all?
Uh, I think the bump is a little bit. I know they grinded it down. I think it's not much better. I don't think it's worse. Um, but it'd be great to see if we can make that second lane open up. That's going to make the race so much better, especially on restarts and stuff. The ovals this year they've been great races. I was telling Rasmussen that last stint of his in Milwaukee was badass. Like that's how you want to win your first IndyCar race. So that was awesome to see. And hopefully tomorrow that's the show that we give all the fans here that choose to come out and support us and everybody on TV.
Well done today, and looking forward to the race tomorrow.
Thank you.
Pato going into this event had second place in the championship showing up. That was done deal, just as much as Palou had first place, and it was all to play for third with Lundgaard, Kirkwood and Dixon. Again, more on that in just a second. But the big thing that I've seen in Pato this year is a much more rounded, more mature driver, more mature in the press conferences, a lot more composed. Just not so smart maybe in his answers. They're just a better answer, a more polished all-round driver. And I think going into 2026 and the momentum that we've seen out of the McLaren organisation this year makes him a serious contender. Not that he wasn't, but I think it makes him even more serious going into the next season. So great round off for O Ward. And of course, what he wanted to do was convert that pole position into a race win. He has never, ever in his entire career won from pole position. Unfortunately, as it turned out, he wasn't going to at Nashville either. There was plenty of drama in there. It proved that this type of oval racing really works. I'd love to see this event under lights at night time. We need to bring back some night races. They're very spectacular. They're great for the fans. You get a lot of colour and stuff coming off the cars. They'd be brilliant. So if we have to bring Nashville, or when we bring Nashville back next year, I'd kill to see that as a night race. It would just be phenomenal. The lights and everything are already there. So, it would be a great thing. Onwards to the race, as I said, there was a lot going on, heaps going on in the race. Malukas was in contention for a while, then he wasn't. There was lots of players. There was a fair bit of aggressive racing going on there, but it was hard and it was sort of semi-short track oval racing at its best. But of course, Malukas had a coming together with Louis Foster from the Rahal Letterman organisation. You can look at this both ways, really, as to who was at fault and who wasn't. Malukas ended up going to hospital for precautionary scans more than anything else. Which he's been cleared of, so that's a great thing for him. But then Louis Foster ended up taking out the Rookie of the Year title, but this really put a little bit of a cloud over it as well. So we got to talk to Louis about just what his take was on that incident.
Yeah, well, first off, I heard that he went to hospital, so obviously want to make sure that he's okay. I've heard that he is somewhat okay, so that's good to hear. I'll text him after the race to make sure he's okay. But for me, we were trying to stay on the lead lap. I had one leader in front of me, and I think he was second at the time. I held my line. He turned down into me. I couldn't really do a lot about it. He bluntly just, I think he tried to chop across in front of me, expecting me to back out of it more than I did. But yeah, he just hit my front right. Luckily, I didn't get any damage. And like I said, luckily he's somewhat okay. But yeah, unfortunate. And then I think I got the penalty for blocking, which I'm going to go see the stewards about afterwards because I'm not sure exactly what that was for.
Very hard one to call, that one. Louis was certainly up the inside of Malukas, and we know what the result was, and the rest is history. But Louis taking out that Rookie of the Year title, that's quite significant for Rahal as well, because they're up against Schwartzman and Prema are not in a good place right now. A lot of concern about whether they'll be back next season, mounting issues over financing, lack of sponsorship. That's going to be another significant off-season story. And when you consider that Premier have spent millions of dollars building the new facility that they've got in Fishers in Indiana and all the infrastructure to go around it, it would be a shame to see that tip over, but there certainly seems to be some growing concerns that that's a possibility. Anyway, back to the race. Kiwi Scott Mclaughlin, he led the race for a while, ran up against the wall and ultimately ended up with a great battle with Griffin Simpson from the Ganssi organisation. Probably a little bit of a surprise that he was racing with Simpson for both parties really, and even for Chip, who we'll mention shortly. But again, it shows that Simpson has progressed this year. I've always been a bit of a doubter on that because of the fact that I know that there's financial money that keeps him in that seat, but he's starting to prove his worth. And for Mclaughlin racing against someone like that, he just seemed ecstatic about it. And again, we talked to him at the press conference, and this was his take on how those last few laps played out.
I had an absolute blast, man. Like, that was so much fun. Restarts were intense. Yes, it did string out a little bit, as it always does. Mid to late stint, but I thought the exchanges and obviously the restarts were phenomenal. Yeah, obviously I'm bittersweet for me. I thought third's great, and I'm glad I sort of held on to that at the end. But I felt like I could have held off Josef there. I was just sort of controlling his lane, and I just turned a little late, got caught, and nearly saved it. But then I just once you're sort of out there, it's hard to get it back. So just thankful I was able to straighten the wheel just before I hit the fence, and the car was straight, and I was able to push on. So, yeah, very good end to our season. Great team win, but I'm pissed off with myself.
4 could have been more.
I hate. I feel like it's just been one of those years. Haven't quite put everything together. Had plenty of speed, and we're very lucky to get a podium today. And I have to give massive props to Kiffin Simpson. It's probably the best oval race I've had. Felt like I was in like 2006 or something. It was just like, pinned around the outside, and that kid gave me some room. And if he came up, I was in the fence hard. So, big props to Kiff, and really happy to race him. And I thought the racing out there was really fair. I don't know what happened to Malukas and Foster, but yeah, I thought it was a really good, proper, goddamn IndyCar oval race. So yeah. Anyway, I can't wait. Let's get this going. I want to go to Broadway.
Okay, right.
Onwards now to our race winner, Josef Newgarden, pulling off his first win of the year, and probably a good way for Penske to go into the off-season. For Newgarden, quite significant. I personally have seen a change in Newgarden since he took out the 2 Indy 500 titles. He is quite a different personality than what he used to be. Again, this is only my take on things. So, if you're a Newgarden fan, I'm not kicking the guy. I'm just stating my take on what I've seen when I've been around him. And there's hints of sarcasm at times. But to be a driver, you do have to be confident, and you have to express yourself, because confidence oozes confidence as well. So, Newgarden's very good at that. The interesting question that came up by a friend of mine, David Land, who asked the question about passing Mclaughlin when Mclaughlin ran up against the wall, I thought was a very typical Josef Newgarden type answer for this season, and quite smart. So take a look at that.
I'll be straight up with you. I was about to pass him, so I didn't care. I was like, whatever. That's just a real answer for you.
Well, as I said, take it or leave it. You're either a fan of or not, and I respect the guy immensely. I respect all the guys that race in this series, absolutely no doubt about it. But, just definitely an attitude change. The other thing, of course, was, for Newgarden, it was a race win. So we talked to him again just about how that race went. Was it different to what he thought it was going to be, or was it not? And, well, here's his answer.
I mean, I don't have a great answer for you. It doesn't feel that different. It's just, nothing went diabolically wrong. I tried to throw it in the bin there in the final pit stop, on the edge, but not over it. But just nothing, like a meteor didn't come out of the sky today, which was nice. Other than that, it felt like a normal day in a lot of respects. I mean, it started off. It was not an easy race. I mean, I did not have the car where I wanted it to start, like right away. I'm like, okay, we're nowhere where we need to be. Let's just be patient. And we kind of did our thing like we always do. We just like assessed everybody. We hung in there and we went when we needed to go. And we got the car in a really good spot at the end. I was like, okay, now we got a race winning car. So let's close the deal. So this felt that whole sequence felt very normal to me. And I'm just, proud of the team. I mean, more than anything, I show up and I'm like, I'm just ready to see the team rewarded for the effort. I really mean that. Like, you have no idea what goes on. I mean, some of you guys do know what goes on. It is grueling to get to these races and to get through the weekend and to put a car on track that's capable of winning and then get, hitting all your marks every, second of the race. It's just so difficult to do. So to get that reward for the team, we had it in Portland, which was great for everybody. And then we had it today. So that's probably the highlight for me, is just to see everybody rewarded for, the effort and what they put in this year.
Well, onwards now to the winning championship team of the year. They've done some rewriting of the record books this year, that's for sure, and that's Chip Ganssi Racing. Great season from them across all three drivers at the end of the day, because Dixon secured third in the championship, took out another race win in a season whereby he has won every single season he's raced in this series, and that's significant. Great improvements from Simpson and, of course, Palou. Well, we all know what he's done all year, basically win everything there was. So including the Indy 500. So great job to him. It's also significant the Honda relationship that Chip has with that engine supplier. We hope that they hang around. We won't know more about that until next year. There's always been this underlying rumor of the fact that they may not. Let's wait and see. There's a long way to crystal ball that one. But for Chip, great relationship with Honda, and got his take on just how that's been the winningest team for Honda over these few years.
Our team has the most wins with Honda, and that's really a feather in our cap. We've had a great relationship with them over the years. It's a true partnership, and we're always pushing each other to do better. Couldn't be happier with the engines they give us. I mean, we've had some issues. And you're going to have that when you push the envelope. You're going to have an issue from time to time, and certainly on Dixon's car. By the way, Scott Dixon finished third in the championship. I don't know if any of you knew that. It's like been the quietest third place championship we've ever run. I mean, no one knows. It's like Dixon finished third, Dave.
Staying with the Ganssi organization here for a little while, someone who joined them at the post-race press conference was Mike Paz, the CEO of DHL North America. Now, the interesting thing here, fantastic year for them. The amount of branding and everything that has gone DHL's way, phenomenal. So as a sponsor, you're rewarded on your investment. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I took two things out of this press conference which kind of need to be noted. The first one that Mike says here is the fact that this is the first time that the series has gone global as a result of what Ganssi have done this year. Well, I strongly disagree with that. It's been global for a long time. It might be more significant in Spain now than what it was before, but it's been global for a very long time. I covered in my former role at TVNZ as the motorsport producer for New Zealand's leading network. I covered that series way back in 2001, 2002, and then when Dixon moved into IndyCar fully in 2003, we were there at the Indy 500. So it has been global for a little while, so I disagree on that comment. The second comment that he makes, however, I took significant note of because, again, no calendar has been announced yet, but look how he drops the word Mexico into this conversation.
It's the first time that we've now got a global audience that's tuning in. Alex in Spain is growing, getting a lot of media attention there as well. And I look forward to something happening next year, which I've been pitching to Mark Miles and the team for a long time, and that is that we're going to Mexico. And that is absolutely exciting for someone like myself. We've got a big group of people there in that marketplace. And I look forward to seeing a sea of yellow in Mexico. I'm sure we're going to be competing with Pato there on that perspective. But yeah, excited. It's been a great year for us.
And also the investment that sponsors are taking, equity partners joining in IndyCar. how do you see the IndyCar business at this time, especially for a partner such as yourself?
But I think, for us, we're leveraging an opportunity as well, what we call business to business. And we've been working the paddock for a long time. We got a gentleman called Rick Stark who's been working with a lot of people, and we're working across all the teams, and we're offering the opportunity to leverage our strength in 220 countries globally as well. So it is also a business opportunity, but also an opportunity for our employees as well.
There's probably no better way to round out this show than talk to the 2025 NTT IndyCar champion himself, Alex Palou, and just really how he felt this season played out.
Amazing season, amazing 5 seasons with the team, but this season has been truly, truly special. Just felt like since day one, the amazing work that everybody at CGR and Honda had done over the off season was incredible. Like starting the season, winning in St. Pete, then thermal. Then I cannot remember, but I remember it was a really good start. Then getting the Indy 500, 8 wins and the championship. So it's been incredible. It's been super, super fun, and yeah, I'm just lucky enough to drive that number 10 car.
Well, there you have it. Just like that, 2025 in the books. Indy Next, great championship as well. Very much dominated by Haga coming over from F2. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, whether there's room for him. Maybe he'll end up in the IndyCar Andretti squad and Will Power won't go there. Just another little thought to end the show with. So there's a lot still to come out in this house of cards. So what I will do over the next couple of weeks is anytime there's significant news, we'll update that with a show so that you know what's going on. And also our travel tips for 2026. As soon as we see that calendar come out, let's dissect that and we can talk about the best venues to go to, the logistics of going to them and all those sort of things, including our Indy 500 tour, which will kick off again next year. I think it's been a great season. Sometimes you get seasons like this where a driver dominates. We've never seen it quite like this in IndyCar. It's always been renowned for going to the last race of the season. The last 2 years it hasn't, courtesy of Alex Palou. Up until then it always has. Will we see that change in 26? I probably think we will. I just think that these crests only last so long. It's like any sport. You can be on a run and then it comes to an end. You can use Mercedes, Red Bull in Formula One, Kansas City Chiefs in football, all of those sorts of things. Tide does change. Who will be the next heir apparent, you might say? I'm still thinking that maybe Pato O Ward comes into that equation. Mclaughlin, of course, moving into the old Andretti race shop now as well, new facility for them. So they'll have much better off-track shop usage and layout. And I think that's going to be an advantage to them coming into the off-season. Very, very busy off-season, couple of tests beforehand and all sorts of things. So there's a lot to play for. But as I said, when we started the show, the big significant thing now is the Will Power drama is partially over. He's left Team Penske. Where he goes, we don't quite know, but I think it starts with an A. Until next week, anyway, thanks so much for watching the show. For my regular viewers, thank you. For the new viewers, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. The show's going to continue, and of course, we'll have our special from the Petit Le Mans in Atlanta in a few weeks' time as well. So until then, we'll catch you on Racing World.